On our wedding night, my new bride, Clara Vance, sat on the edge of the bed. Her white wedding gown cascaded onto the floor like a pool of stagnant water, resigned to its fate. She clutched her phone, the screen illuminating the darkened room with the name of her childhood sweetheart, Justin Miller. I walked over and embraced her from behind, my hands sliding around her waist to rest flat against her stomach. Her body went rigid, trembling violently. What? Waiting for his call. I rested my chin on her shoulder, inhaling the scent of her hair. She didn't answer. Tears dripped one by one onto the phone screen, distorting his name. I chuckled, took the phone from her hand, powered it down right in front of her face, and tossed it onto the sofa. We shouldn't waste this expensive evening. You took my $5 million. You should do something worth the price. I pressed her back onto the bed. She didn't struggle. She simply closed her eyes, a single tear tracing a path from the corner of her eye. Just then, a frantic pounding erupted at the door. Clara, open the door. Come out. You can't marry him. It was Justin's voice, hoarse, desperate. I stopped and looked down at Clara. Her eyes snapped open, filled with a sudden, terrifying light. She looked at me, her lips trembling, and for the first time, she actively begged me. Declan, please. Let him in. I have to speak to him. Watching her go crazy for another man only stoked the twisted fire burning in my chest. All right, I said. Let's show him. I wanted him to see exactly how the girl of his dreams, his golden girl, looked beneath me. I wanted to drive him insane. My transaction with Clara had begun a month ago. That night, the rain was torrential, thunder detonating overhead like artillery. I was in my study reviewing documents when the security guard buzzed in. Mr. Cole, Ms. Vance is here. She insists on seeing you. I didn't even look up. Send her away. She's kneeling in the courtyard, sir. She refuses to leave. The pen in my hand paused. In the courtyard, Clara wore a dress that had been washed until the color faded. She was kneeling in the downpour. The rain plastered the fabric to her skin, outlining her frail, shivering frame. Her hair was matted against her face, her skin as pale as paper. When she saw me emerge, her eyes lit up for a second before dimming again. She just looked at me, silent. Rainwater streamed off her chin. I held an umbrella, walking until I stood directly before her. Speak. What is it? Her lips moved, soundless at first. I had no patience. If you won't speak, go home. She finally found her voice. It was drowned out by the rain, barely audible yet steely. Declan, I'm selling myself to you. It sounded like a bad joke. How much are you worth? She gritted her teeth, rain and tears mixing as they slid down her face. Justin is sick. It's aggressive. He needs $5 million for the surgery and experimental treatment. If you save him, my life is yours. Marriage, children, whatever you want. Justin. Always Justin. We were all high school classmates. Back then, Justin was the golden boy, the quarterback everyone revolved around. Clara was his shadow, always 3 steps behind him. And me? I was the gloomy, overweight kid in the corner that nobody noticed. I looked into Clara's eyes. They were beautiful eyes. They used to look at me with polite detachment. Now, they were filled with another man. The indescribable anger in my heart flared up instantly. Deal. I agreed quickly. $5 million. I'm buying your entire life. But I have a condition. She looked up, a sliver of hope in her eyes. I want you to marry me. A grand public spectacle. I want everyone to know that Clara Vance belongs to Declan Cole. I paused, bending down to whisper in her ear, voice low enough that only we could hear over the storm. And I want Justin to be at our wedding. I want him to watch, with his own eyes, as you become mine. Her body shuddered as if she'd been stabbed. I straightened up, looking down at her. Do we have a deal? She closed her eyes. A long time passed before she opened them. The rain washed over her face, leaving her expression blank. Deal. I tossed a pre-drafted contract onto the wet pavement. Sign it. She picked up the pen, her hand shaking uncontrollably. Declan. Before she signed, she gave me one last look. You really are a bastard. I smiled. Thanks for the compliment. I watched as she signed Clara Vance at the bottom of the soggy paper. The handwriting was like her, elegant, but with a stubborn streak. From that moment on, she was mine. The day after the contract was signed, $5 million was wired to Justin's account. Clara moved into my estate. I gave her the largest, south-facing bedroom on the 2nd floor. Everything inside was brand new, decorated to her taste. But I knew she hated it. She locked herself in the room and refused to come out. At dinner, the housekeeper went to call her. Ms. Vance, Mr. Cole is waiting for you to eat. Silence. The housekeeper knocked again. Ms. Vance. I put down my fork and went upstairs myself. The door wasn't locked. I pushed it open. Clara was sitting on the rug by the window, hugging her knees, staring outside. There was nothing to see but a sprawling lawn. She was so lost in thought she didn't notice me enter. She had lost a lot of weight. Her chin was sharp, her neck so thin it looked like it could snap. I walked over and stood beside her. Time to eat. She seemed to snap back to reality, slowly turning her head to look at me. Her eyes were hollow. I don't want to eat. You eat whether you want to or not. My tone brokered no argument. I bought a living person, not a corpse. If you starve to death, who am I going to get my $5 million back from? She didn't speak. She slowly stood up and followed me downstairs, sitting opposite me. The housekeeper served the food. 4 dishes and a soup, all her favorites. She picked up her fork, took a bite of rice, and chewed slowly, like she was swallowing medicine. I watched her. How is Justin? Her hand froze, fork suspended in midair. The surgery was successful. Her head was lowered, voice quiet. Does he know where the money came from? No. She swallowed the rice. I told him I won the lottery. I scoffed. And he believed that. He believed it. What a fool. But if he was a fool, Clara was an even bigger one. The meal felt like a funeral wake. After eating, she tried to retreat to her room. Stop, I commanded. She froze, back turned to me. Come here. She hesitated, then slowly walked to my side. I was sitting on the sofa. I patted the empty spot next to me. Seat. She stood motionless. I looked up. Do I need to send a formal invitation? Only then did she sit, reluctantly, keeping 2 feet of distance between us, her body pulled taut as a bowstring. I tossed a file onto the coffee table in front of her. Read it. She picked it up. It was a wedding plan. Everything from the dress style to the guest list was detailed. On the first page of the guest list, in the most prominent spot, was one name, Justin Miller. Her hand trembled, and the file slipped to the floor. She bent to pick it up, but I stepped on it. She looked up at me. Declan, what do you actually want? Her voice carried a tremor. What do I want? I leaned forward, gripping her chin and forcing her to look at me. I want that arrogant childhood sweetheart of yours to see that the things he can't give you in a lifetime, I, Declan Cole, can give you with a snap of my fingers. I want him to know that the woman he treasures is nothing more than a toy I bought for $5 million. Her face went even paler. You're a psychopath. Correct. I let go of her, leaned back, and crossed my legs. So don't provoke me. She picked up the file, said nothing more, and turned to go upstairs. I watched her retreating figure and lit a cigarette. Clara, this is just the beginning. During the wedding preparations, Clara acted like a marionette. I took her to try on dresses. The designer brought out a dozen high-end gowns for her to choose from. Each one cost a fortune, hand-stitched lace encrusted with diamonds. Ms. Vance, which one do you prefer? Clara stood before the mirror, staring at her reflection with dead eyes. Any of them. The designer looked awkward and turned to me. I pointed to the most expensive one. That one. Clara was beautiful in the wedding dress. Unrealistically beautiful. Like a doll without a soul. The designer couldn't stop praising her. Mr. Cole, your wife is truly the most beautiful bride I've ever seen. I walked over and wrapped my arms around her waist from behind. In the mirror, we looked like a perfect match. I lowered my head to her ear. Smile. She didn't move. I said smile. My grip tightened. She finally twitched the corners of her mouth. It looked worse than crying. I took out my phone, snapped a photo of us in the mirror, and posted it to Instagram right in front of her. The caption, my bride. Likes and comments flooded in immediately. The high school alumni group chat exploded. Holy shit, Declan is getting married? To Clara Vance? For real? Wasn't Clara with Justin? When did the fat kid land the prom queen? Must have cost him a fortune, right? I handed the phone to Clara, forcing her to read the comments. Her gaze landed on the name, Justin, and stuck there. I could feel her body shaking. Want to call him? I asked. She snapped her head up, eyes full of hatred. Declan, you disgust me. Doi. I took the phone back. You'd better get used to it. There will be plenty more disgusting things in the future. For example, on the wedding day, I'll have Justin sit in the front row. I'll make him watch us kiss, watch us exchange rings. I watched with satisfaction as the blood drained from her face. On the day of the photo shoot, Justin called her. Clara was getting her makeup done, her phone sitting on the side table. The screen lit up, Justin flashing incessantly. Clara reacted like she'd been scalded, reaching out to grab it. I was faster. I snatched the phone and hit speaker. Hello. Silence on the other end. Then who is this? Why do you have Clara's phone? Justin's voice was guarded. I'm her fiancé, I said. Dead silence again. A long moment passed before Justin's voice returned, shaking with disbelief. Fiancé. Clara, where are you? Who are you with? I held the phone to Clara's lips. Tell him. Clara looked at me, eyes rimmed red. Her lips trembled, but no sound came out. Cat got your tongue? I smiled. I'll say it for you. I spoke into the phone. Justin, she's with me. We're taking wedding photos. We're getting married on the 8th of next month. I'll send you an invite. Make sure you come for a drink. I hung up. I tossed the phone back to Clara. Slap. She raised her hand and struck me across the face. Everyone in the makeup room froze. I licked the corner of my mouth, tasting copper. I wasn't angry. I laughed. Now you look like a living person. I grabbed her wrist and yanked her into my arms. Remember, you are Declan Cole's woman. Even if your heart holds someone else, your body will bear my mark. Her tears finally fell. The wedding day was beautiful. Clara sat before the vanity in that expensive gown, letting the makeup artist manipulate her face. She didn't say a word. When I walked in, she was staring blankly at herself in the mirror. Everyone out, I told the staff. We were alone. I walked behind her, meeting her eyes in the glass. You look beautiful today. She ignored me. I pulled a velvet box from my pocket, opened it to reveal a diamond necklace, and fastened it around her neck myself. The cold gems pressed against her warm skin. Don't like it. Anything from you makes me sick, she finally said, voice raspy. Doesn't matter. I clasped the latch. You're already mine anyway. I pulled out my phone and brought up a photo. In it, Justin was lying in a hospital bed, pale but looking spirited. He was surrounded by friends peeling fruit for him. I'd had someone take it. He's recovering well, I said. Once you marry me, I'll arrange the best rehabilitation for him. I guarantee he'll be jumping around in no time. Clara looked at the photo, eyes reddening. Declan, why do you have to do this? Why? I smiled. Maybe because back in school, I handed you a love letter and you threw it in the trash in front of the whole class, then ran off to give water to Justin. Remember that? She froze. She seemed to be trying hard to recall it, but couldn't. Right. Why would she remember an insignificant fat kid? Don't remember. I shrugged. That's fine. You have a lifetime to think about it. The ceremony began. I held Clara's hand as we walked down the aisle. Guests lined both sides, flashbulbs popping. I could feel her hand trembling, ice cold. I squeezed it tighter. Smile, I whispered. She forced the corners of her mouth up. I spotted Justin immediately. He was in the first row, wearing an ill-fitting suit, his hair messy. He stared at us, eyes bloodshot. He looked far more haggard than in the photo. I deliberately slowed down, stopping right in front of him. Justin, long time no see. I raised our joined hands. Thanks for coming to Clara's wedding. Justin didn't speak, just stared at Clara. Clara hung her head, afraid to look at him. The officiant on stage began the generic vows. Declan Cole, do you take Clara Vance to be your wife, regardless of do? I interrupted him, impatient. The officiant paused, then turned to Clara. Clara Vance, do you take? Clara remained silent. Everyone's gaze focused on her. In the audience, Justin stood up abruptly. I felt Clara's body tense. I leaned into her ear. Think clearly before you speak. His life is in my hands. She went limp, as if all strength had been drained from her. Several seconds passed before she looked up at me and said, word by word, I do. When we exchanged rings, my hand was steady. Clara's shook so hard she couldn't get the band on my finger. I grabbed her hand and forcibly shoved the massive diamond ring onto her ring finger. Then, I lifted her hand and kissed the ring. Applause erupted. I saw Justin's fists clenched tight, veins bulging. You may kiss the bride. I gripped Clara's chin, forcing her head up. Her eyes were brimming with tears she stubbornly refused to shed. Don't look at me like that, I said. It makes me think you've fallen for me. I lowered my head and kissed her. Her lips were cold and trembling. I kissed her deeply, forcefully, staking my claim. The flashes from the cameras intensified. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Justin punch the chair next to him, creating a dull thud. Then, he turned and ran out. Clara struggled in my arms. I held her tighter. Don't move, I warned against her lips. The game has only just begun. At the reception, I took Clara table to table for toasts. She was on autopilot. Whatever I said, she did. Someone joked, Mr. Cole, the prom queen was hard to catch, huh? We all thought she'd never marry anyone but Justin. I held Clara's waist and laughed loudly. What can I say? True love conquers all. Clara's face was white as a sheet. When we reached the high school alumni table, someone asked, Hey, where's Justin? Saw him earlier. Where'd he go? Probably heartbroken. They were childhood sweethearts, after all. Shame, they were a good match. Their words were like knives stabbing into Clara. I could feel her getting stiffer. This was exactly the effect I wanted. I held a glass of red wine to her lips. Drink it. She looked at me, motionless. Drink. She closed her eyes, tilted her head back, and downed the wine. A drop escaped her lips, staining a small red patch on her white dress. Back at the main table, Clara said she needed the restroom. I knew what she was up to. I sent 2 female security guards with her. Sure enough, a moment later, they reported that Ms. Vance was in the bathroom, secretly trying to call Justin. I went to the restroom. Clara was cornered by the guards, phone confiscated. When she saw me, her eyes blazed with fire. Give me my phone. I took the phone from the guard. The screen was lit with the call log, dozens of missed calls to Justin. Miss him that much. I pocketed the device. On our wedding night, I'll make sure you don't have the energy to think about other men. I grabbed her wrist and dragged her out of the bathroom. She wasn't as strong as me. She stumbled. Declan, let go of me. You bastard. She started fighting, kicking, and hitting. Guests turned to look. I didn't care. I threw her over my shoulder and walked straight toward the bridal suite upstairs. Mister, Cole can't wait. Someone jeered from the crowd. Clara struggled harder on my shoulder. Put me down. Declan. I slapped her on the backside. Smack. It was loud. She froze instantly. The whole world went quiet. I carried her up, kicked open the door to the master bedroom, and tossed her onto the large bed covered in rose petals. Then I locked the door. Clara scrambled backward to the headboard, curling up like a terrified cat, hair bristling. Her wedding dress spread out like a crushed white lotus. Don't come over here, she stammered. I walked toward her step by step, loosening my tie and throwing it on the floor. Then the suit jacket. Ilundoweha. Clara, did you forget our contract? She didn't speak, just glared at me with red-rimmed eyes. The contract was clear. $5 million for your life, including your body. I unbuttoned my collar. Now it's time to inspect the goods. I lunged. She screamed and dodged, but the bed was only so big. I caught her ankle and dragged her back. She fought viciously, scratching and biting. She left several bloody streaks on my skin. The pain was nothing. I pinned her wrists and pressed down on her. Save your strength. I panted into her ear. You'll be screaming later. She stopped moving, turning her head away and closing her eyes, tears sliding into her hair. She looked like a lamb waiting for slaughter. That look only fueled the fire in me. I wanted to see her struggle, see her resist, see her break beneath me. I lowered my head to kiss her neck. She went rigid, shaking like a leaf in the wind. Don't touch me, she sobbed. Dirty, dirty. I stopped, grabbing her chin. Tell me who is clean. Justin? The man lying in a hospital bed, trading your body for his life. No, she retorted passionately. He doesn't know. He knows nothing. He'll know soon enough. I smiled cruelly. I'll send him the video. Let him see how his golden girl behaves beneath me. You're shameless, she roared, summoning all her strength to knee me in the groin. I was expecting it and dodged. Just then, a frantic pounding came from the door. Thud, thud, thud. Then Justin's hoarse, despairing scream. Clara, open the door. Come out. You can't marry him. I froze. Clara froze too. She looked like she'd heard the voice of God. Her eyes exploded with startling light. She looked at me, lips trembling, and begged me for the first time. Declan, please. Let him in. I have to speak to him. Seeing her willing to risk everything for another man extinguished the last trace of warmth in my heart. Fine, I said. I got off her and straightened my clothes. I walked to the door and unlocked it. Outside, Justin looked like a rabid lion, eyes red. If looks could kill, I'd be dead 1,000 times over. He saw me, paused, then tried to charge in. I put out a hand to stop him. Easy, I said. The show is better if we watch it together. My 2 bodyguards grabbed Justin and threw him into the room. The moment he entered, he stumbled toward Clara on the bed. Clara. Clara crawled toward him, weeping. Justin. They embraced, crying their hearts out like characters in a tragedy. I pulled up a chair and sat opposite them, crossing my legs like an audience member. Done crying yet? I asked. Justin looked up, glaring at me with bloodshot eyes. Declan, you animal. What did you do to her? What would I do to my wife? I spread my hands, just fulfilling my marital duties. Bullshit. Clara loves me. Justin roared. Does she? I looked at Clara. Tell him. Who do you love? Clara buried her face in Justin's chest, shaking her head, unable to speak. Justin held her tighter. Declan, how much did you pay for her? I'll pay you back 10 times. Let her go. 10 times. I laughed. 10 times 5 million is 50 million. Do you have that? Justin's face turned purple. I don't have it now. But give me time, I'll earn it. By the time you earn it, our kids will be in college. I dusted off my pants. Justin, stop lying to yourself. What do you have to compete with me? Choked by my words, Justin could only hold Clara and chant. Clara, come with me. We're leaving right now. Clara looked up at him through tears. Dustin, I'm sorry. I can't go with you. Why? Justin grabbed her shoulders. Did he force you? Tell me. Did he threaten you with me? Clara bit her lip, silent, tears flowing. Her silence was an admission. Justin exploded like a powder keg, leaping up to rush me. Declan, I'll kill you. He had just recovered, supposedly, but he was weak. I easily dodged his fist and backhanded him, sending him to the floor. He lay there, unable to get up. Justin, Clara screamed, rushing to help him. Are you okay? Justin coughed, spitting a little blood. He looked at me with despair and hatred. Suddenly, he smiled. A weird, twisted smile. Declan, you think you won? He propped himself up. You have her body, but you'll never have her heart. She will never love you. Then, acting like a madman, he tore open his shirt. Clara, look who I became this way for. He revealed a long surgical scar on his chest, looking like an ugly centipede. The doctor said the 5-year survival rate is less than 30%. I don't have long to live. I just wanted to see you one last time before I die. He wept bitterly. It was an Oscar-worthy performance. Clara was sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. No. Justin, you'll get better. You have to. It's no use. Justin knelt, crawling to Clara's feet and hugging her legs. Clara, please, don't marry him. Come with me. We'll find a place where no one knows us. Spend my last days with me, please. Truly touching. Even I was almost convinced. If I hadn't already seen the medical report. I stayed silent, watching them perform. Clara's heart was in chaos. She crouched down, holding Justin's head, and cried, Okay, I'll go with you. Let's go now. She helped Justin up and turned toward the door. Stop. My voice wasn't loud, but it carried weight. Clara froze. She turned back, eyes pleading. Declan, I beg you. Let's go. I'll find a way to pay you back the $5 million. Pay me back. I laughed. With what? Selling yourself again. Clara's face lost all color. Justin stepped in front of her. Declan, don't push her. Come at me if you have a problem. All right, I nodded, pulling a document from my pocket and throwing it in Justin's face. Read it yourself. Papers scattered across the floor. Justin paused, picking one up. It was a hospital discharge summary. He glanced at it, and his expression crumbled. Clara curiously picked one up too. She didn't understand all the medical jargon, but the summary at the bottom was clear English. Patient Justin Miller, post-op recovery excellent. All vitals normal, cleared for discharge. Requires routine checkups only. No life-threatening condition. Clara stared. She looked up at Justin in disbelief. Justin, what? What does this mean? Justin's face was ghostly white, eyes darting around. Clara, don't trust him. He forged it. He's trying to separate us. Forge? I stood up and walked over to him. Did I forge this too? I pulled out my phone and played a video. It showed a hospital corridor. Justin was arguing with a doctor in a white coat. Doctor, Mr. Miller, really, it's a minor issue. You're fine after the surgery. There's no need to exaggerate it like that. Justin, if the money doesn't come through, you tell the truth, and I'll make sure you never work in this town again. You tell her I have less than 5 years. Make her desperate. Doctor, that's fraud. Justin, shut up. Just say what I tell you. You'll get your cut. The video was high definition. The audio was crisp. Clara stood frozen, her blood turning to ice. She looked at Justin as if seeing a stranger. Justin, her voice was broken. Is the video real? Justin's lips quivered. He couldn't force a word out. His silence explained everything. So, from beginning to end, you were lying to me? Clara's voice was light, like a feather hitting the ground, yet it kicked up a storm of dust. Justin panicked. He grabbed Clara's hand. Clara, let me explain. I didn't mean to. You didn't mean to? Clara shook him off, stepping back as if avoiding something filthy. The light in her eyes was dying out. You got a terminal illness and needed $5 million. So you told me to beg Declan. You told me you were dying, told me not to leave you. So I believed you. You made me marry a man I didn't love, a man I hated, to trade my life for yours. And I did it. She took a step back with every sentence. Justin, I pawned the only thing my mother left me for you. I knelt in the rain, begging Declan for you. I signed a contract selling my body for you. Tears streamed down her face, not loud sobbing, just a quiet, endless flow. I thought I was saving your life. Turns out, I was just a tool for you to scam money. She laughed, a sound more painful than crying. $5 million. Justin, is that all I'm worth to you? No, Clara. Justin completely broke down. He knelt, crawling to hug her legs, but Clara kicked him away. Don't touch me. That kick seemed to use the last of her strength. She stumbled, grabbing a table to stay upright. Justin stared at her, seeing the raw disgust in her eyes. He knew it was over. Suddenly, he turned on me. "It's you. Declan. You set this up. You ruined me." He lunged at me like a mad dog. This time, I didn't dodge. I let him grab my collar and punch me in the face. My lips split again, blood filling my mouth. Clara gasped. I wiped the blood from my lip and looked at Justin. "You think that's all?" I tapped my phone and played another video. This video was filmed in a dimly lit underground casino. Justin sat at a card table, eyes red, looking manic. A mountain of chips sat before him. Hand after hand, he lost. Finally, he lost everything. He was pinned to the table, signing IOU after IOU. The timestamp at the end of the video was the day before he told Clara about his illness. "You didn't have cancer," I said, articulating every word. "You had a $5 million gambling debt. You couldn't pay, and they were going to break your legs. So, you cooked up this sob story to send Clara to me, because you knew I liked her. You knew if she asked, I'd pay. Justin, you really are a calculating piece of trash." With every sentence, Justin paled further. Finally, he collapsed on the floor, gray-faced, like a pile of mud. Clara stood motionless, a statue. The world had collapsed. The room was deathly silent. A long time passed before Clara moved. Slowly, step by step, she walked to Justin. She crouched down, looking at him. No tears, no expression. Terrifyingly calm. "Justin," she rasped, "I have a few final questions." Justin looked up, eyes glazed. "In high school, the love letter I gave you. Did you read it?" Justin blinked, surprised. He nodded instinctively. "Then why did you tell everyone you never got it?" Back then, didn't want it to affect my studies." "Affect your studies?" Clara smiled. "But you turned around and accepted the prom queen the next week. Was that for your studies too?" Justin's face flushed red. "I broke up with her later. Because her family went bankrupt, right?" Clara answered for him. Justin went silent. "After college, I got a great job. You said you needed support for your startup, told me to quit and help you. I quit. The company started doing well. You said you fell for the new intern, asked me to step aside. I did. Then the company folded, the intern ran off, and you came back to me saying I was the only one you ever loved. And I believe that too." Claire stood up, looking down at him. "Justin, has my entire life just been a joke to you?" She turned and walked away, not toward the door, but toward the window. The massive floor-to-ceiling window was open. The night breeze blew in, lifting the hem of her wedding dress. My heart stopped. "Clara, what are you doing?" I sprinted across the room, grabbing her from behind just as she climbed onto the sill. I locked my arms around her. She fought me, possessing shocking strength. "Let me go. Declan, let me go," she screamed, voice full of despair. "Let me die. What is the point of living? I'm an idiot. A complete, utter idiot." "You are not an idiot." I dragged her back into the room. "If you die, what happens to my $5 million? You haven't given me children yet. You want to die? Not that easy." I used the most toxic words I could find to stimulate her, to pull her back from the edge. She fought harder, scratching and biting my arm. I ignored the pain, dragging her to the center of the room and throwing her onto the thick carpet. She lay there like a dying fish, gasping for air, then burst into loud, wailing sobs. It was the kind of crying that tears your lungs apart. She cried out years of grievances, unwillingness, and stupidity. Justin lay paralyzed on the floor, watching, unable to say a word. I stood by, lighting a cigarette, watching her silently. Through the smoke, I couldn't see her face clearly, nor could I see my own heart. I only knew that from today on, the man named Justin Miller was dead to her. And I, Declan Cole, the bastard who took advantage of the situation, might actually have a chance. Clara cried for a long time. Eventually, her voice went hoarse, leaving only hiccups. She lay motionless on the rug, a broken doll. Justin had been dragged out by security at some point. It was just me and her, in a mess on the floor. I walked over and picked her up. She was light. I placed her on the bed and tucked her in. Her eyes were open, staring at the ceiling. Empty. I sat on the edge of the bed. "Wanted to hear a story?" No reaction. I spoke anyway. "When I was in high school, I was fat, insecure. The whole class mocked me. They called me Tubby Cole. My only joy back then was secretly watching a girl. She always wore white dresses, had a ponytail, and dimples when she smiled. One time in gym class, I passed out from heat stroke. Everyone gathered around to laugh. Only that girl ran to the nurse's office and brought me a bottle of electrolytes. It tasted like chalky seawater, disgusting stuff. But that day, I thought it was sweeter than sugar. Later, I got up the courage to write her a love letter. I saw her take it, and I saw her throw in the trash. Then she grabbed a bottle of water and ran to the shining star quarterback on the field. I paused, looking at Clara. Her eyes moved, slowly turning to me. There was confusion in them. You? Yeah, that fat kid was me. I smiled, self-deprecatingly. Later, my dad sent me abroad. I lost the weight, studied like hell, made money like hell. I told myself, one day I'd come back. I'd make everyone who looked down on me look up to me. I wanted that girl to know exactly what she threw away. Clara watched me, lips moving, trying to speak but failing. So, when you knelt in the rain that night, selling yourself to me, do you know what I was thinking? I leaned in close. I thought God finally answered my prayers. I waited years for this chance. I wanted revenge. I wanted to torture you. I wanted to make you fall in love with me, then ruthlessly dump you. I spoke calmly, like narrating someone else's life. Clara's tears flowed again. This time, not for Justin, but for me. I'm sorry. She rasped. I didn't remember. Doesn't matter. I wiped a tear from her cheek. You succeeded anyway. You got your revenge on me. What? She looked confused. I stood up and walked to the window, back to her. Making you love me and then dumping you. That plan doesn't work anymore. Because before you fell in love with me, I realized. I seem to still be in love with you. After saying it, even I was stunned. After all the scheming, the circles I ran, it wasn't for revenge. It was just to make her look at me again. That night, I didn't touch Clara. I slept on the sofa. The next morning when I woke up, Clara was already up. She had changed out of the wedding dress and was wearing one of my white dress shirts. It was huge on her, swallowing her frame, making her look even smaller. She was in the kitchen, clattering around, making breakfast. I leaned against the doorframe, watching her. She was frying eggs, her movements clumsy. Sunlight streamed through the window, gilding her edges in gold. It was quiet, warm, like a home. Hearing me, she turned. Her eyes darted away. I'm not much of a cook. It's fine. I walked over, taking the spatula. I've got it. I quickly made 2 sandwiches and fried 2 eggs, sunny side up. We sat at the table, face to face, eating silently. After eating, she cleaned up. When she came out of the kitchen, I slid a document across the table to her. She paused. What is this? Divorce papers, I said. I've already signed. Her hand shook as she picked it up. What does this mean? It means you're free, I said. Justin was a scam. Our deal is void. You don't have to pay back the $5 million. Consider it. Payment for my teenage crush. Clara looked at the papers, then at me, eyes complicated. You can stay in the estate, I interrupted. I have other properties. When you're ready, sign it and have a lawyer contact me. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and headed for the door. I stopped but didn't look back. Clara, yeah. Don't be so stupid in the future. I opened the door and walked out. Behind me, I heard a soft, tearful. I closed the door, sealing that sound inside. I drove aimlessly through the city. My chest felt empty. I thought exposing Justin and freeing her would make me feel good. It didn't. I felt a profound sense of loss. I had pushed away my only chance. My phone rang. It was my assistant. Mr. Cole, Justin has been dealt with. We paid off the gambling debts, but we handed the evidence of fraud and witness tampering to the police. Good. One more thing, the assistant said. We found out that Ms. Vance's mother left her a trust fund, a significant amount, but her father and stepmother have controlled it. Ms. Vance doesn't seem to know it exists. My grip on the steering wheel tightened. Send me the file. I pulled over and read everything. Clara's mother was from an old money family. When she married Robert Vance, the Vances were nobodies. Her family's connections built his business. She died when Clara was in high school. Before she passed, she set up a trust, accessible only when Clara turned 30 or got married. Only Robert and the lawyer knew. 6 months after she died, Robert remarried and brought in a stepdaughter only a year younger than Clara. Since then, Clara was the outsider. For years, Robert and the stepmother used Clara's money while treating her like an ATM. When Justin got sick, Clara went home to beg for help. They gave her nothing and kicked her out. I stared at the photos of Robert and his wife, rage boiling over. No wonder Clara was so starved for affection, so easily tricked by a bastard like Justin. The people who should have protected her pushed her away. I whipped the car around and sped back to the estate. When I kicked the door open, Clara was sitting on the sofa dazed. The divorce papers were still on the table and signed. She jumped when she saw me storm in. Declan? You. I ignored her, marched over, and pulled her up. Come with me. Where? To get justice. I dragged her to the car and drove like a maniac to the Vance family home. The butler looked terrified when he saw me. Mr. Cole. Moo. I shoved past him, pulling Clara inside. Robert, the stepmother, and the stepsister were having afternoon tea, laughing. Their smiles froze when we barged in. Declan? What? What are you doing here? Robert stood up, stuttering. What am I doing? I sneered, slamming the file into his face. Robert Vance, are you even human? You stole your dead wife's life, savings from your own daughter? Aren't you afraid she'll crawl out of her grave to haunt you? Robert's face changed. The stepmother screeched, What nonsense! What money? We don't know anything. Don't know. I cast the bank record from my phone onto their living room TV. Do I need to read out every luxury bag you bought your daughter, every car you bought yourself, using the trust fund money? On the screen, the transaction records were damning. Robert and his wife turned pale. Clara stood behind me, staring at the screen, stunned. She had never imagined she'd been played for a fool by her own father. Clara, listen to Dad explain. Robert panicked, reaching for her. Clara recoiled like she'd been bitten. She looked at the man she'd called Dad for 20 years with absolute stranger's eyes. Explain. She laughed, tears falling. Explain why you married another woman before my mom was cold. Explain why you used my mom's money to support them while kicking me out when I was desperate. Or explain how you knew Justin was trash, but watched me jump into the fire without a word of warning. Robert was speechless. The stepmother yelled, Why are you shouting? Your mom married your dad. Her money is Vance family money. So what if we spent it? Without us, you think you'd have gone to that fancy college? Slap. I couldn't help it. I backhanded her. Hard. She spun around and hit the floor, face swelling instantly. She wailed like a slaughtered pig. The stepsister cowered in the corner. Robert pointed a shaking finger at me. You dare hit people. I'm hitting you. I pointed at his nose. Robert, 2 choices. 1, pay back every cent you stole. Then get out of this house. This house belongs to my mother-in-law. 2, I call the cops. Embezzlement, grand larceny. You'll get 10 years. Pick one. Robert went red, then white. He looked at his wife on the floor, then at me. Finally, he gritted his teeth. I'll pay. I'll pay. I looked at him with disgust. I turned to Clara. She stood there like an observer, quiet, tears streaming continuously. I walked over, took off my coat, and draped it over her. Let's go home. At the door, Clara stopped. She looked back one last time at the man who gave her life and the most pain. Dad, she said calmly, from today on, I have no father. Whether you live or die is none of my business. She turned and never looked back. In the car, Clara stared out the window. She didn't cry, didn't speak. I knew she was hurting, betrayed by the person she loved most and the person she trusted most. Near the estate, she finally spoke. Declan. Yeah. Thank you. I looked at her in the rearview mirror. Don't mention it. I told you you're my wife. She didn't speak again. Back at the estate, she went straight upstairs. I thought she would lock herself away and cry. But 30 minutes later, she came down. She had changed into clean clothes, hair brushed. She walked up to me and handed me the divorce papers. My heart sank. Still leaving? I took the papers. But the signature line for Party B was empty. She had signed somewhere else. She had crossed out the words divorce agreement with a pen. Next to it, she had written one word, promise. Below that, she signed her name, Clara Vance. I stared at the modified document, brain lagging. What does this mean? Clara looked at me, eyes red but bright. It means the divorce is void. Declan, does what you said yesterday still count? My brain was buzzing. Which part? You said, you still love me. Her voice was tiny, face flushing. My heart hammered against my ribs. It counts. Of course it counts. Then, she looked up deadly serious. Would you give me a chance? And give yourself a chance. I used to be stupid, blind. I couldn't tell who was genuine and who was playing me. But now I get it. Declan, I want to try being with you. Not because of a contract, not gratitude, not pity. Just Clara wanting to try with Declan. Sunlight hit her face. Her eyes held stars. I looked at her and felt that all the waiting, all the bitterness of the last decade suddenly had meaning. I pulled her into my arms. Tight. Clara. I buried my face in her neck. Think carefully. I have a lot of flaws. I'm petty. I hold grudges. I have a bad temper. If you stay with me, no takebacks. She nodded against my chest. No takebacks. I smiled. A genuine smile I hadn't felt in years. I let go, cupping her face. Okay, wife. I lowered my head and kissed her. This time, she didn't dodge. She closed her eyes and clumsily kissed me back. The sun was perfect. The breeze was gentle. My golden girl had finally shone in my world. Later, Justin went to prison for fraud and gambling. Robert and his family were kicked out of the villa, burdened with debt, living miserably. As for me and Clara, we started our new life. We traveled, watched movies, did all the things normal couples do. She learned to cook for me, though she still destroyed the kitchen. I learned to change for her, becoming less paranoid and gloomy. One night, leaning against my chest, she asked, "Declan, when exactly did you start liking me?" I thought about it. Probably freshman year, when you handed me that bottle of electrolytes. She paused, then laughed. That long ago? Yeah. I kissed her forehead. So long ago, I almost forgot myself. Forgot the beginning, but remembered the ending. It's good. Story complete.